I request everyone to give a rest to their phones. Silent mode would be the best.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता
to the 7th edition of Open Minds. Here the speakers share their stories from trials to triumphs, their journeys from setbacks to comebacks, through challenges conquered and dreams achieved. Here we applaud their victories and hope it lights the path for our to-be entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs to follow. With that, I now request our chief guests for today, Mr. Rushabh Shah and Mr. Sankalp Kelshikar, to please light the lamp along with our platinum sponsor, Mr. Mahesh from PriceBridge, and please come forward to light the lamp.
To be the most happening commercial hub. Over the last decade, Thane has grown from a small suburban town to a large self-sustaining metropolis. Proximity to the financial capital of the country has extended ample opportunities to Thane for becoming the richest district in Maharashtra, with potent factors like well-planned infrastructure and low cost of operation. With growing opportunities and upcoming business ventures comes the growing need for business networking to learn, to explore, to connect, and to share avenues for mutual growth. Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network, popularly known as TEN. Established in 2010 with the intent of providing a platform for entrepreneurs to share their experience, to learn, and to educate fellow entrepreneurs, along with generating business opportunities for mutual growth.
TEN is much more than a networking platform. It's a powerful community of like-minded professionals. Whether you're looking forward to grow your business, enhance your skills, and connect with people who shares your passion to grow, this is the place to be.
TEN is a close-knit community of different business verticals across industries.
I love TEN because people are here to help you. If you are facing challenges, people will brainstorm and actually find solutions for your problems. They are ready to help, ready to share knowledge.
And what I found, people around us are all wanted to grow in their business and help the society around.
What sets TEN apart from other networks is that while the essence of TEN is networking, it allows the members to, at their own pace, connect with its members and get to know them on a personal level before there is any exchange of business that happens between them.
TEN has given me visibility and confidence that I can take my counseling and coaching to entrepreneurs and create value for them. TEN has no competition culture.
Learning has been always a major reason for me to join TEN. It has helped me a lot in developing my new relationships in business and also grow my business to a next level.
I can really relate to the original motto of 10 of share and multiply, and which has really been true in all senses of the word.
10 members contribute connections, ideas, and time to help 10 grow. Members are rewarded with training workshops, insights, network, and camaraderie offered by other like-minded entrepreneurs. They meet alternate Wednesdays from 7:15 a.m. to 9:45 a.m.
It's a platform where you can share your entrepreneurial journey, including your success and challenges, with those who truly understand the entrepreneurial journey.
What I found the most important aspect about 10 is the camaraderie and the bonding that we have within the members, which supersedes all the other aspects.
10 is a platform which brings professionals from various industries, domain together and gives them an opportunity to share their insights about their industry domain.
The culture of mutual support within 10 members are invaluable.
10 conducts activities such as 10 Connect session, open minds, outdoor meetings, and annual conclave. 10 Connect session provides a robust platform to its members for learning and sharing experiences, one-on-one interaction, apart from addresses by internal and esteemed guest speakers. 10 Engagement also extends to events such as open minds, where established entrepreneurs and business owners are invited to share their life lessons and growth stories while interacting with live audience. Outdoor meetings are fun coupled with learning. It includes site visits, visiting fellow members' workplace, and short outings which are extremely high on fun quotient.
So one thing I really appreciate about 10, it's strong focus on quality or quantity. So they are always just a call away. They are ready to listen and offer you solution without keeping the relationship purely commercial.
10 is a phenomenal platform. It is just not a regular networking where you come down, talk together. So this is very unlike, very informal, but absolutely formal when it comes to commitment. I think what I love about 10 is one-to-one, one-to-many.
Great thing that I like about 10. There's no pressure on numbers. There's no pressure in terms of give and take. It's a complete bonding which helps you to evolve.
I had gained tremendous insights on business as well as personal aspects from all the learned speakers who had come to address on the 10 platform.
I would quote here the Paulos, the great quote, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping to achieve it. I would say that for the 10 also, if you have a problem, all the 10ers will help and come and solve your problem.
For those serious business owners who are looking at scaling their business, I invite you to visit 10 on one Wednesday morning, experience it for yourself, and decide to become a member.
Since inception, 10 members have transacted more than 275 crores of business with its members and connects beyond 10 as we move ahead in this path of connecting for mutual growth. We look forward to more heads, more hands, and more hearts to come together. 10. The Entrepreneurs Network. Connect, breakthrough, prosper.
On a weekday, Friday, 6 p.m. to see a packed auditorium is a testimonial that we are doing something right and we have the right speakers here today. A very good evening to all. It's with great honor and pride that I welcome you all on behalf of 10, the Entrepreneurs Network, on this spectacular and much awaited event that personifies the essence and power of networking, Open Minds. We would want to express our sincere gratitude to the sponsors, friends from the media, Nikhil Ballar from Thane Vaibhav Group, every visitor present in the auditorium, and last but not the least, my fellow tenors who have assembled here to celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship. I'm expected to make my opening remarks to facilitate the audience to know more about 10 as a powerful networking platform. What would be a better beginning to begin with a quote by Tim Sanders, a German actor. He said, "Your network is your net worth. You are known by the company you keep. Your success is what you do is directly proportional to the people who surround you." Keeping this quote at its core, 10 set on its journey in 2010 with a mission to connect, breakthrough, and prosper. Every tenor stands committed to the progress of his own self, his fellow tenors, and the vast entrepreneurial community. We believe that the way to goddess of wealth, Lakshmi, inevitably passes through the goddess of knowledge, Saraswati. As a result, all our activities are focused on acquiring knowledge beyond our domain expertise, thus leading to create businesses that are not just sustainable, but flourish even in the worst adverse conditions. Business just happens without much efforts. As a byproduct, when you hold the key to knowledge and accept that one life is not enough to know enough. This exchange of ideas and insights help us navigate through roughs with confidence and uncompromising values. Trust me when I say that no tool is as powerful as knowledge if you want to climb the ladder of success without the fear of failing. Knowledge is the only constant that ensures your return. Open Mind was launched with the sole intention to make us realize that in this vast ocean of information, we need to gather as many drops as possible and return home richer than what we were when we entered this room. So without taking much of your valuable time, I will end by welcoming today's guests, speaker Rushabh, Shah, and Sankalp Kelshikar. Let's welcome them with a huge round of applause. I'm sure that each one of us will have some takeaway today from Open Minds that will surely change the way we look at life. Rushabh and Sankalp, we can't wait any longer to hear from your phenomenal journey called Cityflo. Thank you all and enjoy the camaraderie of 10. Thank you.
I now, with gratitude, we would like to acknowledge and thank our Open Minds 24-25 sponsors and media partners. Our platinum sponsor for today is PriceBridge, Thane's first and trusted SEBI-registered PMS managers. Our gold sponsor, Pesico Solutions Private Limited, your financial compliance partner. Our silver sponsors, Lead BPO, top-notch premium BPO services provider for both domestic and international markets. NovaCare Packaging Private Limited, a corrugated boxes manufacturer based out of Goa. Classical Yoga Niti, expert training for yoga teachers and individuals, customized sessions for corporates, groups, individuals, online and offline. Our creative partners, Site to Host Digital, a full-service creative agency. Our gift partners, DP Amrute, jewelers, third-generation trusted jewelers from Thane City. Our print media partners, Thane Vaibhav, Thane's oldest newspaper since 1975, and Inspiring News, bi-weekly community newspaper reaching out to large and influential residential societies across Thane. Our YouTube and news partners, Thane Live, vibrant digital news channel, and lastly, our donors, Sri Narayani Wealth Creation, a Thane-based financial services company offering financial planning and investment services for life insurance, health insurance, and mutual funds. Vedant Queuing Private Limited, an end-to-end HR solution providers providing consultancy in areas of labor laws, statutory compliances, industrial laws, vendor compliance, audit, etc. Thank you so much for your belief in us. I now request our platinum sponsor, Mr. Mahesh Gowande from PriceBridge, to please present a bouquet and welcome Mr. Rushabh Shah. I request our gold sponsor, Mr. Rushabh Vora, to please welcome Mr. Sandeep Kelshikar. Before I hand over the mic to Sunil Golani, we would like to see a small AV of Cityflo.
Imagine city life without its hustle and bustle, where you look forward to the hours spent between your work and home. A window of time to yourself every day. Time to sit back and relax. Time uninterrupted. Imagine not having to stress about your commute and leaving your journey in good hands. What if commutes could be this easy? More comfort, more space, more time for you and our city. Ride with Cityflo.
Smooth and light, turning travel into pure delight. No more stress, no more grind. Just sit back and enjoy, free your mind. Swift and quick, it takes you through a perfect ride just built for you. Travel with ease, no rush, no race. Cityflo takes you safely from place to place. Thank you. Now with that, I invite Mr. Sunil Golani, who is a business coach, senior Rotarian, quiz master, and our event moderator for today, to take us through the journey of Cityflo. Believe me, by the time this session ends, you will all be saying, "Chalo, ab bas karte hain." Mr. Sunil, please come.
I thought there were 120 people in the room. Good evening, everyone. So before we invite Rushabh and Sankalp, I have a question for all of you. How many of you have traveled in a Cityflo bus? Rushabh, that answers your question that we were discussing the other day. So may I request Deepak and Ramkumar to escort Rushabh and Sankalp up here. Rushabh and Sankalp, I know nowadays IITs have become more of an entrepreneur's breeding ground than the engineering college. Am I right?
I mean,
of course, we'll come to that question a little later, but then as I had to introduce a little bit about you too, two young boys meet at IIT along with two others, live in the same hostel for a few years, if I'm not mistaken, and come up with an idea, but of course go their own ways immediately after IIT, work in the corporate world, and come back together after a couple of years to launch something that I call the Yellow Giant on Mumbai roads. And I know that as a young kid or a youngster, I have traveled in a lot of BST buses, which are all red. But today when I drive, I see less of red and more of yellow. On the back of the buses, it says Cityflo. So welcome once again now.
Thank you.
And first question that, you can clap for that. The first question that I have for you both, Rushabh and Sankalp, is that how did you come up with this idea of Cityflo?
I mean, it's a problem that we were facing. You know, right after college, all of us were working at different jobs. Some of us in Mumbai, some of us, in other cities. I think commute is a problem that's been plaguing, citizens forever and ever. But the breaking point, I think, was during the monsoons, when we were stranded in our offices, respective offices, and we were like, yaar, iska kuch karna chahiye. And, the following weekend, we discussed stuff. It was also time when it was easier to start up than to not. A lot of, our seniors in IIT had started companies. So I think the time was right, the timing was great. And we were also in a place where, yaar, karte hain, bahut maza aayega. This is a problem that needs solving. It is going to be incredibly rewarding. Should we take the plunge? Thankfully, all of us were in a place where we didn't, we weren't in a place where we needed to send money back to families and all. So in that sense, we were very privileged. We decided to just go for it. At that point in time, we didn't have a vision. The yellow giant that you talk about, that wasn't really, at least to me, it wasn't like a crystal clear thing. But it was like, yaar, ye karte hai. It'll be amazing. All of us had spent a fairly large amount of time in Mumbai. So we're like, this is probably the one part of Bombay that really hurts people. Varna opportunities बहुत है, education अच्छा है, healthcare बहुत सही है, लोग career बनाते हैं यहाँ पे. But if we could just change this part, like make this little corner of the city nice, it'll be good. Yeah, it'll be a fun ride. And, yeah, all of us are friends.
Your call on this.
Yeah, I mean, like Sankalp said, right? So I think one aspect is when we started Cityflo in 2015. By then, app-based services had sort of been proven out. Like smartphones were quite popular. I think Ola and Uber had started. Ola had started. Bhavesh had started in 2011, 12. But we felt that for a city like Mumbai and for all of India's metros, there's a lot of population density. So I remember at that time Uber's promise was everyone's private driver. That was their tagline. And we discussed, and I think I don't think everyone needs a private driver. And especially in Mumbai where there's so much density. So we said, can we look at a large can we look at shared mobility? Can we get all these people who are going in the same direction every day? Can we build something to them that is what, and this phrase we borrowed from Starbucks, it's called the third place, which is you have your home, you have your office, and then can we build what is the third place, which is, so for example, I stay in Dadar, our office is in Thane. I take the train, there's no Cityflo unfortunately. And I spend about an hour each side traveling. But that I enjoy that time because that is my time.
Yeah.
And that is, I read or I'm listening to podcasts or I call my family. And that time is for myself. And can we recreate, that third place was the sort of mindset that we have while solving, as Sankalp spoke about, a very real problem that all of us face.
True. I mean, interesting, Sankalp, as you said, when you said kuch karte hain, and
Is this fine?
Well, as I understand, each one of you two and Jaren and Ankit, your other two co-founders, were having very cushy jobs. I think you were the A.T. Kearney, you were at Boston Consulting Group, and I don't think I need to guess they were well-paying jobs, right? So was there any apprehension or fear that you had that even if you didn't have to send money home, was there anything that what if it fails? Did you go through that kind of thought process?
So no, the short answer is, I think two things that worked in our favor, like Sankalp spoke about. One is that we had very supportive families. I think in both our cases, we come from families where our parents have built businesses that they themselves run. Of course, this was a little different, and we'll come to how startups are different from traditional businesses, but this was a different. So there was always, but they were all, when we told them that, we're thinking about this and we want to leave our well-paying, comfortable jobs to start this, I think they were, if you believe it, we believe in you, and if you think that's the right thing, then go ahead. So I think that that sort of support infrastructure that we were both all of us were very lucky to have. And the second thing is, when we started Cityflo, we were 23. I think, and it's a mix of, one is I think we were naive. So like when you are young, you think you're invincible and you are fearless, and you were like, haan, ho jayega. And so that in hindsight was great. But it was also, we were all quite aware that it was the low risk period of our life, right? We had no, no sort of commitments. We were not married, nothing else. And we said and we knew that startups have a certain percentage probability of succeeding, which is less than 1%. And we knew, but it was always that, if there is any time for us to do it now, because even if we don't, so we do something like, this is a thought exercise that we do, it's called a pre-mortem, okay? Let's say Cityflo doesn't work. 2 years from now, we've tried, Cityflo has not worked. What's the worst that can happen? So you think about that when you're doing it, and that's the pre-mortem. And it was like, actually it's not that bad, because if I have 2 years of trying to build my own venture on my resume and I go out looking for a job, it is something that's going to be valued. And I don't have much to lose in terms of, where I am. So why not?
Absolutely.
So that was sort of the thought process, at least for me.
Yes.
And I think similarly for all of us.
Collective thought exercise that we did before we said let's do it.
Pre-mortem has worked. You didn't have to look for a job after 2 years, as we know. That's great. And I'm sure, when you all thought about this idea, brainstormed among 4 of you, you also would have thought of who's going to do what kind of thing, because it's not that there's a problem of plenty. So if you can tell us that what kind of roles does each one of you play, 2 of you and the other 2 co-founders. So if you can, one of you would like to take that question.
Yeah, so I think when we started, it wasn't as clear-cut. I mean, although we knew, the 4 of us knew each other from hostel, I think when you're starting a business, it is, and especially when you're starting, it is challenging. You're also figuring out each other's strengths, each other's work styles, what does well. Over time, of course, we settled into roles, and those roles have changed also over time, depending on, what the priorities of the business are. So currently, for example, our roles are, Jaren, and we have titles now. But so Jaren is the CEO. He looks at investments and the overall strategy of the company. I'm the head of operations, so I look at growth, operations, as well as data. We call it business intelligence. Sankalp is head of marketing and sales, as well as now we do also a lot of corporate sales where we offer Cityflo service to companies directly. So Sankalp heads that entire vertical for us. And Ankit is the head of tech and product. So that's our sort of broad areas. Of course, the borders are fuzzy, so it's not, very rigid in that sense.
Interesting. In fact, my next question is based on, when you said borders are fuzzy. While each one of you knows your role very clearly, and you look at that, but I'm sure you must be coming together very often to discuss the way ahead or a lot of problems that you try to solve. So there are obviously going to be differences.
Oh, yes.
How do you handle them?
I think differences are healthy. I think each of us brings a very unique perspective to Cityflo, which we've realized over time. And I think there is a lot of respect, admiration, trust, most importantly, that this perspective is coming from a place, where we're all trying to push the business forward in the right direction. So once you recognize that, it becomes hard to take things personally. So we've had like shouting matches in conference rooms, and then an hour later we are grabbing, a drink somewhere. So that's how it works. And touch wood, it doesn't always pan out this way. They say that one shouldn't mix friends and businesses, but it is. I think we've enjoyed the benefits of being friends. For sure. I won't change it for a thing.
Okay. You want to add something to this, Rushabh?
I think, like Sankalp said, I think if very early on, we've been doing this for 10 years now. I think in the first year was very hard, but I think very early on we established that the decision making should be meritocratic. So we base decisions on merit, not on who's louder.
Wonderful.
The other thing is, so we have this, like Cityflo has a culture not just as founders, but with the entire team, which is constructive feedback. So if you believe that something's not working or things can be better, anyone across the entire organization can approach anyone else, including us, the founders, to talk about it, but it has to be spoken about constructively. So, it's not like, for example, we do bus operations, and bus operations are hard, and sometimes bus breaks down or things go wrong. It's not enough for the marketing person to come and say, "Arey, operations team isn't doing anything." That's not constructive criticism. Sure. But if you can give inputs, for example, that I've noticed on Monday mornings we have more issues, can we start auditing the buses on Sunday evening because they may be doing something else on the weekend? Then yes, that's constructive. We can take that input, we can build something. You don't have to give us the solution, but if you can give feedback to each other constructively, I think that helps. And secondly, four of us are fairly rational personalities, very logical. So a lot of our arguments are based on merit and logic rather than emotion. And sometimes we do get emotional, and like Sankalp said, that we've had shouting matches, and it's been scary for some of the people to see like us going at it. But we have that balance, and I mean, we have that trust and equation with each other that we don't take it personally. You know, we never forget that all of us are trying to push this thing forward, and whatever approach you're coming with to the debate and discussion is because you believe very passionately about what's the best interest of Cityflo.
True. You know, as they say that feedback is the breakfast for champions. So as Sankalp talked about after that shouting match, you grab a drink. Maybe I'm going to change that. Feedback is a drink for champions at Cityflo. So, you know, differences aside, is there one thing that all of you would agree in a few seconds?
I think customer service is the most important.
You couldn't have disagreed with that.
Yeah, absolutely not. I was going to say the same thing.
There is no doubt about what Cityflo's #1 goal is. And there's been no doubt about what that is from almost day one.
So when you talk about customer satisfaction now, I think a couple of co-founders years back said, the customer is always right. Do you always believe in that? Or sometimes you find customers who you feel, come on, they're being unreasonable.
So the customer is always right is a nice quote. I actually like Henry Ford's quote more, which he says that if I had asked my customers what they want, they would have said faster horses. This is the guy who invented the car. And so I think it's very important to have your ear to the ground and understand what problems the customers are facing. And that is something we focus on. We try and understand, what is the issue that you're facing. And how to solve it is something that, we believe that we can do well. But what we need to know clearly is what is the customers, what are their problems, what are their beliefs, what are their, when Cityflo makes a change or Cityflo is trying to build something new, what is the customer's feedback and feelings associated with that. So I wouldn't say the customer is always right, but I would say that the answer lies with the customer.
Yes, very much so. And we have this saying, like, anytime anyone hits a roadblock at work, you go to the customer. Yeah. Like, anytime growth is stalled, and this has happened a bunch of times, over the course of 10 years, where we've been like, sab kuch sahi kar rahe, lekin gaadi aage badh hi nahi rahi, so to speak. And we've just gone back to the customer, and the customer, on one occasion, for example, typical bus services run highway to highway. And that's the only idea of a bus service that we'd also known. And so we stuck with that for, I think, the first 2-3 years, of our journey. And लोगों को service बहुत पसंद है, लेकिन people are just, rides are just not growing. And so then we went on ground. We were like, sir, ma'am, आप आ रहे थे, क्यों नहीं आ रहे? Like, first day I came, it was great. On the second day also, I was like, ठीक है. Third day, I didn't, because your stop is like 1 kilometer away from where I live. And this was someone who was living in Hirandani estate. And that prompted us to start a route from within Hirandani estate. And that became a game changer for us. And so moving our routes from just an arterial routes to, what we call hubs, hub to hub, it changed the game for us. And I think this happened so many times in our journey. There's 2 practices that we follow at Cityflo. One is 1 ride a quarter. So regardless of who it is, what they do, everyone takes a ride on a Cityflo and takes feedback and brings it back to the relevant teams. And the second thing that we do is 1 hour of customer support. So we are all on the phone lines once a quarter. So these are just practices that we've sort of baked in to make sure the culture remains, tangible aspects, to make sure we stay that way as an organization.
Yeah, and I'll just add that that's mandatory for everyone. It's part of everyone's job description. It's not optional. It's not, but I'm in data analytics. Why do I need to know? It's if you want to be a part of Cityflo, it's mandatory. We call it the customer connect, right?
Okay.
And which also is like you have to go and talk to at least 1 customer on that bus. You can sleep for the rest of the time, that's fine. But at least 1 customer you have to go speak to.
In fact, one of the questions that I would have brought in later, but now that we talked about feedback from the customer being very, very critical, we need to have ear to the ground. You gave me an example about you starting from within Hirandani estate.
Yeah.
And the other day, Rushabh, when we met, you were talking about the incident of a couple.
Yeah.
If
That
you'd
was
like
very
to share-
recent. That was
yeah.
last Saturday. Yeah. So there was, yeah. So the examples Sunil is referring to. So now we also do. I'll just share some more context. We believe that Cityflo is a community. Very much. I saw the 10 AV and it resonated with me. But the thing is that the bus itself is a shared experience, right? You're not alone in that. And it is, Cityflo is a community of like-minded, corporate employees going together. So we've recently started an initiative which we call Cityflo Out of Office, which is one Saturday a month. We try and organize something for, Cityflo's sort of members, subscribers, and customers, which is a fun activity, nothing to do with buses. So we've done stuff like idol, during Ganesh Chaturthi, we did Ganpati idol making, we've done Varli art. When the new park opened in Thane, we did a photography walk in the park. We've done a bunch of these. We've done a stand-up comedy show. So the most recent one we were doing was sailing. So last Saturday we did sailing, and we had our customers come. And so the boat that I was on, there was a couple who are both customers of Cityflo, and they take the same bus. The husband works in financial services in Lower Parel. The wife is a teacher in a college in Sion. And incidentally, the science stop got added on the Lower Parel route because she was incessant on that feedback that, that was the route that goes through that. So we added that stop. And earlier Cityflo used to have seat reservation for women, where first 4 rows were reserved for females. Then we realized we can do better. So after talking to customers, and we started, and this we borrowed from IRCTC, when, if you're a female and you book a train ticket, IRCTC's algorithm ensures that women are seated together. So we borrowed that idea and we started doing that in Cityflo. The thing that we hadn't thought about was that, after some point they asked me, they're like, "Yaar, can you explain to me your seat algorithm? Because me and my wife cannot sit together." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And then I explained to them, and obviously then they understood, okay, that, we've designed it so that when you're a female searching on the app, you're shown seats available to next to other women, and if a male searches on the app, the female seats, if avoidable, they will not be allowed to book those. And so I explained it to them, and then they understood, and I was like, okay, this is something that we hadn't accounted for. And then I went back and I told customer service that, hey, that
इन दोनों को साथ में बिठाओ.
हाँ, इन लोगों को साथ में बिठाओ.
Algorithm side में रखो, इन दोनों को साथ में बिठाओ. That's important.
I hope that both of them were happy about it.
No, if the husband asked for it, I'm sure he was looking for that.
Yeah.
Great. So, moving from the journey, the way you began, and some of the feedback that we've talked about, let's move on to some numbers in terms of what is the current fleet size? Because the other day I was driving on the freeway and I saw C276. I don't know, the number stuck in my head. I was sharing with Rushabh the other day. So what is the current fleet size, team member strength? If you can just share something with us.
Few numbers. We have about 400 buses. So we operate in 2 cities, Mumbai and Hyderabad. We have about 400 buses across these two. About 15 in Hyderabad. Most of them are in Mumbai. And the team size is about 120.
Wow.
And this does not include the drivers. They are not on our payroll. We work with bus partners who employ these drivers. These are the broad stroke numbers. Very, very fortunate to have been able to, do this. I think I was really touched when so many of you raised your hands when when you asked how many Cityflo users there are. So it's been a really rewarding journey for us, Cityflo.
Yeah. Sankalp also told me we can't exaggerate the customer experience; we'll get called out.
All right. I mean, you handle sales and marketing, so I don't know whether it started as that because Rushabh said initially the roles were hazy. I mean, it's not that each one was clear about roles. So what was your go-to-market strategy then? Have you brought in changes there? How do you reach more and more target audience? If you can throw some light on that.
I think we are very lucky to be in an industry that is so visible. I keep telling this to Rushabh. लोगों को लगता है Cityflo बहुत बड़ी company है, bigger than it actually is. But that's because you know, each of our buses is like a moving billboard, essentially. So people see these buses, and over time we realized that that's how 80% of our first rides are coming. That's how most people are trying it out. Then we cleaned up these buses, made them really good looking, focused on that, doubled down on cleaning, and yeah, that remains the primary way in which we attract consumers. Now, the second thing that works in our favor is that commute almost always is terrible. So it is water cooler conversation. मतलब lunch table पे snacks के time सब लोग बोलते हैं अरे यार traffic इतना खराब था. So it's a subject that keeps on. And if someone has had a decent experience, they go ahead and say that, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Anytime there is a new joinee in office, they're like, how do I get to office? It's crazy. I don't know why I took this job up in Bombay. So I think these two aspects really work in our favor, which is why our marketing spends, so to speak, have been fairly low. The thing that we do now when we launch routes, and like I mentioned, we target hubs when we launch routes. So at the time of these launches, we do hyperlocal events. We tie up with hyperlocal entities that can help spread the word faster. So it's a combination of it's a combination of this. Incidentally, one thing that also happens because we have so many buses is that people generally try their route out. Here, let me see if Bandra to Lower Parel hai kya, Thane to Kolaba route hai kya. And when they do that on the app, they put in their personal details as well as the route of their choice. If we have that route, well and good, they start traveling. If we don't have that route, it gets logged in something that we call a wait list. Okay. And that gives us a strong indication of what is a good route to launch. So at the time of the launch, of course, we do our hyperlocal marketing activities, but we also connect with these 400, 500 people who've shown interest and send them the details. That helps get us a good head start, about 40%, 50% occupancy on day one, and we go on from there.
So, great. As I understand, so far, I think Cityflo is being used by individuals.
Correct.
And currently, you are in Mumbai and Hyderabad.
Right.
So, what are the plans to launch in other cities?
It's coming up in March. We're going to be starting Delhi.
Wow.
Yeah, and ever since we started the company providing transport to companies directly, my companies have offices in different cities. So if I have an organization in Mumbai that's availing our services, they've been like, yaar, tum Bangalore mein bhi start karo. Kolkata mein bhi start karo. So that's something that we are open to doing and in the process of launching as well. So if any city comes along that way, Pune might just come up. So that's something we would start as well.
Great. In fact, when you told about that companies, if someone has a company in Bombay and a branch in Bangalore
Correct.
or Delhi, they obviously talk about I travel by Cityflo. And that's another feedback that you get from people. So do you have any plans or packages for companies which they can offer to their employees, or are you in the process of working on that?
So we do that. Companies we have two models that we offer to companies. One is like a dedicated vehicle, like a fleet of vehicles that you can use as you want. We also give them an option to book passes for their employees on existing Cityflo routes. So essentially, they're paying by the seat. And this becomes a super cost-effective option for companies, especially that don't have massive budgets, that don't have really large headcounts. So any company under 500 typically wouldn't have a lot of employee transport. Typically don't engage in employee transport. Yeah, don't have their own buses. So this becomes a really nice option for them. So we've been able to unlock a lot of value for these companies that are very, very employee friendly, employee oriented, but just the budget doesn't make sense.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and to add to that, so like Sankalp said, so we run about 20,000 seats in Bombay. So you can just reserve, even if you want 5 seats for some of your employees, you can do that. And we also have options where it doesn't have to be fully paid by the company. It can be like a co-pay where the employee is paying 50%, the company is paying 50%. And this model honestly has really taken off post-COVID because we see a lot of companies going from work from home to return to office, right? And one of the hooks that they now have to give to their employees to come back to office is that, hey, we've also solved your transport problem. So, we've seen multiple emails from, like a law firm in Lower Parel where they sent an email saying that we want everyone to come back, and these are your transport options, and, Cityflo being one of them. So that's something that came. It's not something that we actively chased, but we actually got a lot of inbound leads from companies saying that, can we somehow bring Cityflo into our corporate transport? All our employees are talking about it. And then we said, okay, what can we design for them? And then we sort of went from there.
Okay. Rushabh, you said you take care of analytics and business intelligence, and I'm sure each one of you, as you said, is a customer support person for an hour, a week, or whatever time period. So have you got any kind of input where people are resistant? Because I understand that Cityflo was also not projected directly, but assumed to be people who travel by either their own cars or take taxis. So has there been any resistance from people who generally would take their own vehicle or hire a cab?
Yeah, I think there is, initially at least, I think, there is some stigma associated with buses. So, when you think about a bus, you think about it taking a lot longer than, a car or a cab would take, because it stops along the way, it's a larger vehicle to move, etc. And you also don't know what the experience would be like. I think we had to solve that. I mean, now I think Cityflo, everyone knows that it's going to be a comfortable ride, but initially it wasn't. And the way we solved that was we outsourced that brand to Benz. So we said we will run 100%, Bharat Benz is their Indian brand, buses, which is, at that time Cityflo wasn't known as a brand, but when we would talk to people and say, it's a bus service, do you want to use it? They'd be like, I don't know. We're like, but it's a Benz bus. Then they'd be like, oh, that's interesting, let me try it out. So that's one thing. And then, like Sankalp said, going deeper into the home societies, office hubs, communicating that Cityflo is express. So we don't have too many stops, right? So Thane to Kolaba, we have some stops in Thane. And that goes all the way to Kolaba and then has some stops in Kolaba. So it's not going to stop in Ghatkopar, Vikhroli, and so on. So once you do that, and once you have multiple options, and Cityflo offers free rescheduling, so you can, if you booked on the 8 a.m. bus, but today you're running late, if there's a seat available on the 8:30, you can change. So once you have that flexibility, and these were all things that we designed from feedback, it does replace the car or the cab. And we've also been blessed that Ola and Uber have done a shit job. But the cabs have gone, the quality of cabs has deteriorated significantly. Yes. Your driver's going to cancel, your driver's going to call and say, ki cash payment hai na, the driver's going to call and say, can you cancel the booking and go with me? So with that experience, when you can provide something that is stable and, just routine, it actually does convince a lot of people. So just to add some numbers, Cityflo does about 15,000 rides a day. It has about 30,000 active customers, but it has about 1 lakh customers who come and try on the app every month to see if Cityflo has their route. We actually have more people on routes we don't serve who've signed up and tried to find a Cityflo than the number of actual passengers that we have. So there's a lot more demand for a service like Cityflo in terms of, people being a real problem for us to solve.
So, but we talked about a lot of people initially thought buses who's going to travel in a bus? Unless you told them Benz. Benz was the clincher initially. Yeah. But I'm sure it has also had some social impact. Less number of vehicles on the road, better for the environment. Yes. So when you started, did you have that somewhere at the back of your mind, or did it come to you later? Oh, maybe we are making some social impact.
See, I mean, shared mobility is good for the environment and stuff, yes. But people are not going to use buses for the environmental impact. They're going to use the bus because it is better than their current option, because it is more comfortable, more convenient, etc. If it does its primary job, great. Then the sustainability stuff is, like an icing on the cake. And you need to make it, my view is that you need to make it easy for them and serve the primary function first and let them enjoy the benefits. Like even today, everyone really loves the fact that Cityflo is eco-friendly and stuff. But the moment, we take their stop 500 meters away, they're going to stop using it, I know for a fact.
Nobody's going to walk there.
Yeah.
Or they may take the car to that stop and get into a bus.
Yeah, we've had people doing that. People take their
Really?
two-wheeler. When
yes.
we start Majivada recently, Majivada to BKC, Majivada to Lower Parel, we started recently. And we knew there were already a lot of people in Majivada using Cityflo. The stop was at the junction on the highway. And when you talk to them, they have their two-wheeler, they come, they park it at the highway, then they take the Cityflo, or someone is dropping them, etc. And the environment impact, again, just for some numbers, is Cityflo's rides, the amount of CO2 emissions that we save by moving people from cars to Cityflo is the equivalent of covering 1/3 of Mumbai city with trees.
Wow.
So that's the impact that we have. And just to add one thing that, when we started, there's this concept that we'd heard, which is that we wanted to build a social business. And that has two parts. So it has to be a business, so it has to be for profit, and it has to make money, and it has to generate value for all the stakeholders, including our investors, our employees, our customers, us as founders. But it has to have net positive social impact. And that was something that we were clear on, that, that is the direction we want to build in. And, we feel lucky that we've been able to build something that has that impacts a lot of people's lives. And we have, one of the reasons we love doing the customer connect rides is, in the first, when I go on a bus, I say, I'm the founder of Cityflo. Do you have any feedback for me? The first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, people will complain. They'll be like, "Arey, this driver is driving too slowly. This seat rest handle is loose. Yesterday, that AC, some water." But at the end, once they're through all of that, most of the time, they'll be just like, "God bless you for starting this service." That we've had instances, I was on a bus, on a customer connect ride, and there was after I got all this feedback, there was a lady sitting, and she just called me, and she's like, she was pregnant, and she said, I'm 5 months pregnant. If Cityflo wasn't there, I would have had to quit my job because there is no other option that I had. And I was actually about to quit my job where my boss said, why don't you try this service? And she said, Cityflo is literally life altering for me, because if I had to quit my job and, not from like the pressure that it would have put on the income of us as a family with a child on the way, would have been life altering. So thank you for that. We've had people email us saying, hey, I'm thinking about changing my job, but they don't have Cityflo on that route. So are you going to start that? Otherwise, I won't take that job.
And I'm sure that that goes in that, what is the word you use? Reserve what? Something which is like database of what routes we
wait
need
list,
to
wait list.
Wait list. I'm sure that goes there.
Yes.
Okay. Great. So I think when you started that, we didn't think of social impact. I think the social impact is beyond Mumbai city being covered, 1/3 of Mumbai city being covered by trees. I think the best social impact was the example that you just shared about that woman. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, we see buses, and I think as a consumer, I have traveled in Cityflo not very often, a couple of times, as I was sharing with you. And I was forced by my son to, actually he was the one who downloaded the app. But when I used the app, it was good. And it was very easy to use the service. So I'm sure when you build this app initially, and Ankit, as I understand, looks at tech, but initially all of you would have thought about it together. What are some of the major challenges that you felt? And once in a while, it's tech. I understand it can break down. It can be down sometimes. So how do you handle those kind of difficult situations?
Our tech team's pretty good. So, we've not had any major issues, I would say. Of course, there have been issues. And in fact, again, some customer only reported it. We had released a new app version. And it turns out you could cancel your ride after you'd completed it, and Cityflo would give you the refund.
Oh.
So, and God bless that customer. He messaged us saying, I canceled my ride after it was done by mistake. I was trying to cancel tomorrow's ride, so I think you should fix that. And we, so there have been issues like that. That we've had bugs. We've had issues where sometimes we try something new and there's an error in the code, doesn't work the way it wants. But the great thing about Cityflo is customer feedback comes in, without without us even trying. Till now, 10 years, we've been running Cityflo for 10 years. We don't have passenger authentication. You don't actually, no one's really checking that if the person getting onto the Cityflo has a booking or not. But we're not worried about that, because as soon as that happens, some customer messages saying this person got onto the bus, he gave the driver 20 rupees, you guys should check. So I spoke, so the person who gave us the feedback whether the ride got cancelled, they could cancel. I called, I was like, thank you, and we understood the issue. I said, thank you, and I was just casually, I was like, sir, but why did you give that feedback? You could have enjoyed the free rides. He's like, no, you need to make money, because if you don't make money, you will shut down, and if you shut down, I'll be in a lot of problems.
So I think this guy's a visionary. He's definitely a visionary. Yeah. I mean, he's thinking far, far ahead. So one is tech. Second thing is, we have always looked at transport as either TMT or BST, and of course there are private buses, contract buses and whatnot. So how has been your experience working with the state transport authorities and other government agencies?
Our experience has been really, really good. I think in our initial days, we were a little scared, honestly, of approaching traffic police, RTO and stuff. But over time, our paths had to cross. When you run 400 buses in a city, wo to hona hi hai. And our interactions with them was so nice. They were extremely supportive, very understanding, really took time to understand how we operate the business and what kind of an impact we are having. And after a bunch of internal discussions and conversations, I think they've been super supportive. I think what's been missing is the fact that since it's a new service, the laws around aggregate transport, like bus aggregators, haven't really been firmed up. So and the fact that Cityflo is doing a good job, what they do, etc., hasn't really percolated to the folks working on ground. So initially there was a bit of friction there, but now both those things are changing. One, there are central guidelines in place, and that's flowing into state guidelines as well. And second, what Cityflo is doing, the impact that they're having, the fact that making job of the traffic police a lot easier is finally reaching the sub-inspector, the inspector on ground. So yeah, we've had a fantastic experience.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
That's
I think they do a really, really good job. Yeah. I don't think we give them enough credit for the amazing job that they do, handling so many people, so many vehicles. It's phenomenal. I think the respect for them is only grown.
Yeah, I'll just add a story. Jaren and I had gone and we'd met the joint CP traffic of Thane. And initially, so we went into a meeting. He said, I've got a lot of complaints that your buses stop anywhere on the road and they cause traffic obstruction. That was the agenda of the meeting. That's why we'd gone for that meeting. And then we explained to him what Cityflo does. He had some sense, obviously, and he knew. Towards the end of the meeting, he's like, you're running 200 buses in Thane. And we're like, yes, sir, but Thane is 18 lakh people, it needs. He's like, no, you should be running 2,000 buses in Thane. Yeah. He's like, because he's like, the more Cityflos there are, the easier it is for my men to manage the traffic. And he actually, and this is something we do where, we have the contact of every sort of node officer. Whenever there's some new construction or anything that happens on the road, we get notified. If our stop is obstructing traffic, in coordination with them, we move the stop. And then they have a list of where the Cityflo stops are and, where they've actually worked with us to make sure that, traffic obstruction is minimized. Okay. And where also they do, so there's road safety week where they actually come and train our drivers with traffic laws, with driving behavior, what to do if the bus breaks down in the middle of the road, who you're supposed to call. They've given us spokes for each of that. So that's how closely, we've been able to work with them, because they see it, they see the impact, and they are here to sort of do, better. We used to, like Sankalp said, we used to be skeptical, hesitant, we have no experience. Neither of us come from the bus industry, transport industry, no connections. So we used to be like, "Arey yaar, meeting ke liye bulaya hai, what are they going to ask for?" All the stories that you hear. And every meeting, and this has happened to us repeatedly, we've been impressed with how aware they are of the on-ground situation, of the impact, how quickly they can understand what we're trying to do, and how supportive they are to sort of pushing this initiative forward.
That's wonderful to hear. So, moving from a lot of operations, when we talk about startup scenario, and in fact, I was talking to one of the startup founders who, the company is broken even in 4.5, 5 years. And I was talking to him, I said, "So what are you doing now?" He said, "Sunil, for the next 5 years, my core function is chasing investors." I don't know how true is that. So if you can share something with us about the funding journey that you went through, whatever little that you would like to share.
That's a long story because, so we started in 2015. First week of starting Cityflo, we were running one bus. We carried 40 passengers on that day. We went to an investor in Bangalore. He said, "Okay, we had a reference. They had invested in one of our senior startups." He said, "Okay, IIT Bombay graduates trying to do something." They gave us a 4 crore check. And no, you clap at the end of it. So, and we were, Sankalp and I like I said, we were 23-year-olds, no business experience. We used to charge our customers 60 rupees. We used to pay the operator 90 rupees. So minus 50% gross margin. And of course, the hypothesis at that time was, you run the vehicles more, the more you run, the more money you will make. And and that time, everyone was burning a lot of money. So the more money you burn, the bigger your startup can become.
More investors come your way.
More investors come. So we said, this is the story, we'll do it. So we scaled up. We kept, the 2015, 2016, burning through a lot of money. 2016, there was a slowdown in the market, in the startup community. There was housing, there was an IIT Bombay startup, housing.com, that had shut down. There was another company called Tiny Owl that had shut down. There was a slowdown. Investors, similar to 22, post-COVID also, there was a slight slowdown. So, and we had a commitment from an investor. And we'd signed the term sheet, everything, we're waiting for the money to come. And last minute they say, "Nahi de rahe paise." We're like, "What do you mean, nahi de rahe?" They're like, nahi de rahe. Like, something has changed for us and it's not you. And suddenly we have only like 1 month, with our current, beautiful unit economics that we had 1 month to run. So we were almost about to shut down. And I remember the 4 of us, we were driving down Eastern Express Highway, and we're stuck in traffic. And then Sankalp is like, "Yaar, problem to hai. Maybe we didn't do it right, but problem to hai." And we were like, "Yeah." So we actually scaled down again. We went to, one of our operators, who was a good friend of ours, who had also, when we had conceptualized the idea, he signed a 5 lakh check to us from his pocket. We went to him, we said, "Ki yaar, we want 4 of your buses. And we'll give you the entire money that we make, we'll give it to you. Whatever we make, we'll give it to you." And he had been running it with us, so he said, "Theek hai." And he's like, "Okay." Then we ran it. Then we solved the unit. That's where the actual premium came from. Cityflo is not a premium service because we chose to make it a premium service. It turned out to be, what we realized is that the problem, initially when we started, we thought, it's a mass market problem. People going in trains and buses are suffering. But we realized actually the person who's driving is also suffering because he's spending 2 hours in traffic. So, but you have to give them better service because they are not as price conscious. If I have my own car and if I have to move to a bus, what we spoke about, Benz, all those things are important. And I will pay. I will, account for that and I will pay. And that's how we realized we had to charge this much to make the unit economics work. If we want to charge this much, this is the service level we have to provide. If this is the service level we have to provide, this is the business we have to build. And then 2016 to 2018, we sort of proved that out. And our investors at that time, they'd put in that 4 crore check, then they had given us a bridge round, a smaller check, which obviously we were a lot more judicious with. And at that point, they had 30% of the company. But really, Cityflo was basically restarting from 2018. We were this. And we spoke to them saying that, we are restarting. We want to continue doing this and we want to attract new capital. But it's not possible for us to do because you own 30% of the company. No one else is. And our alternatives were either we shut down the company or we said to them that, why don't we buy it back from you? Why don't we buy back the company from you at a 90% haircut? Because we didn't have that money. So they said, okay. So we scrounged up, he scrounged up 10 lakhs, I scrounged up 10 lakhs. And we bought back the equity from that investor. And they were very gracious about it. They said, we understand and, we understand where you're coming from. And if you want to do this, we will not stand in your way. Then in 2019, we were bootstrapped, so to speak, profitable, make 40 buses we had scaled to. We said, okay, now we're not as stupid as we were when we started the company. We think we can raise a new round. So when you're a startup founder and you want to raise a new round, there's something we call net practice, which is you go to the investor who's definitely going to say no. And you practice your pitch on them because they're going to say no, you have nothing to lose. So there was another company around the same time that Cityflo was being formed with similar concept called Rbus. There was an investor in that company had shut down. There was an investor called India Quotient. So we said, let's go talk to India Quotient because, then we can talk to them. And so we went into that meeting and they were like, bekar business hai, kyun kar rahe ho? Ye problem hai. And we said, no, we've actually solved these problems. Like, what we said, they said unit economics problem hai. We said we are targeting the premium customer. They said, people don't use, if you just have one sort of bus on the service, people want flexibility. We say, yeah, we have multiple, we offer free rescheduling. He said working capital is a risk. We said, no, we have subscription. 70% of our users are on subscription. So we get the money upfront and then we're paying. No working capital risk. So he said, acha. So then he signed us a check. So he said, I believe in the space. I believe that there is a problem. And then we raised from India Quotient. We called it the seed round. Then our third round. So again, we want to raise money. We've spoken to people. The thing about it, this is something that I've learned is as a startup founder, when you're trying to raise investments, the ratios of no's to yeses is always going to be disproportionate. You will hear 100 no's. And that is the nature of it because you need only one yes. So, when we were raising the round this is now 2019, later 2019, we were raising the round. We'd heard a lot of no's. For whatever reason, we'd heard no's. There was this Lightbox, is this fund. They had a form on their website. And they said, if you're a startup founder, if you have an idea, you can pitch to us. It was the Shark Tank model. Before Shark Tank India, Shark Tank US was already a thing. So they said, we have the Shark Tank pitch. You come, we have every Friday they had a slot. 10 startups can pitch. If they like someone, they'll invest. I honestly think it was their time pass. But we filled that form. And we went and we pitched to them and they liked the idea. They said it's, one of the investors had previous experience in an airline and he said there's a lot of similarities between what you're trying to do and what the airlines have done. And I liked the idea and he invested. We still are the only company that has come through the website, which they told us 1 year later. He's like, we are the only company we've invested through our website. Otherwise, that is for time pass. So we raised from them and then the due diligence happened. March 6th, we got the money from them. March 20th, lockdown.
Oh. So now the check had come into your bank.
The check had come to our bank.
That's
Luckily. And then we get a message saying, hey guys, can we get on a call? We're like, okay. So, so we get on a call with them and we're like, he's going to ask for the money back. And so we're talking and he's like, okay, what are our plans in the lockdown? What are you guys going to do? And we're talking all of that. And so we've spoken, and then at the end of it, Sid, his name was Sid, and we asked Sid, we're like, Sid, do you want the money back? Sid is like, no, I don't want the money back. He's like, so he didn't say no. He said, Rushabh, how long do you think the lockdown's going to last? I said, 3 months. That time, obviously, that's what everyone thought, right? 3 months. He's like, how long do you think I've invested in Cityflo for?
What?
I'm like, 4 years. He's like, we have an 8-year horizon. If this lockdown doesn't affect my 8-year horizon, I have no problem.
Wonderful.
So that's the journey.
When you started talking about funding journey, you said you all went to Bangalore and the person just wrote that 4 crore check.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I should talk about it. In the funding industry, initial investors are called 3 Fs, right? Family, friends, and I would not use a third F. Okay? But then I'm sure there must have been something that made that investor give you that check of 4 crore, as you said. So what do you believe was one thing that the person would have seen right?
I think they're experts at their business. Yeah, they do. They do their business really well. They follow something called the power law, right? Which is that they're not worried about failure. What they're thinking about is if it works, how big can it be? Because they're going to invest in 10 startups. One startup needs, they call it returning the fund. One startup needs to return the fund, which is that if I have a 200 crore fund and I invest 20 crores in 10 companies, one startup needs to do that 10x and return the entire fund. And then whatever I make from everyone else is incremental. And they will invest in the ideas or the companies or the team and the founders that they believe each of those 10 has to be capable of returning the fund. So it's a high risk, high reward game. And they're good at judging people and ideas. And so they're not worried about failure, what happens if it goes wrong, etc. They're just thinking, if this works, how big can it be?
Great. So moving from money, let's move on to another important aspect of business. When I did my marketing management, we had 4 Ps of business. Okay, product, price, promotion, place. I think I understand there are 7 now, and one of the important Ps is people. So if you can tell us a little bit about the work culture at Cityflo. I mean, I saw it was absolutely chilled, as I could see in that hour that I spent in the office. And what are some of the core values that you guys have, brought in at Cityflo?
Rushabh recently formalized and designed, formalized the Cityflo culture. So I think I'll just hand this one off to him.
I think, so we have values and we have tenets. But outside of that, I think the most important thing is we're a flat organization. What that means, Sunil was in our office has no cubicles. Yeah. We don't have cabins, we have no cubicles. Everyone sits on long tables. The idea is that everyone is approachable, everyone's at the same level. And I've, touched upon some of the values that we have. So we have, the first and most important one is that customer excellence is necessary for Cityflo's success. And that's something that everyone has to adhere to. It's necessary. We cannot succeed if our customer service and customer satisfaction is not excellent, which is where the customer connect ride and 1 hour with customer support come from. The other is you're expected to actively seek and give constructive feedback. It is your duty, and if you aren't giving feedback or seeking feedback when you think something is wrong, it is going to be thought of as a failure on your part as part of this organization. The third is we are output focused. We have a good environment, but we are not family. We are like a sports team. So if Virat Kohli is not going to play for India and he's not going to perform, he's going to be dropped. Someone else is going to be taken in his place, even if he's Virat Kohli. So we are output focused as an organization. And the fourth is that treat this like it's your own company. High ownership. You have the freedom and the flexibility, and you are expected to treat it like it's your own company.
Great. I must share this with you. When we went to their office and I entered the reception and there was somebody sitting on the right side sofa. The person looked at me and he said, yes. I said, I've come here to meet Rushabh and Sankalp. So he said, yes, and what time was your meeting? I said, 3 o'clock. And I said, well, I'm Sankalp. I thought I was meeting a co-founder of Cityflo, and he was sitting in the reception and chilled out. I think there was a visitor next to you. Or was she one of the employees? I don't know.
No, she was a visitor, yes.
Okay. Great. So, moving from people, I don't know whether I should talk about it because people have got a lot of flack for what they have said. 70 hour to 90 hour. What do you believe about it, and how do you manage your work-life balance or life-work balance?
Yeah, I mean, this is riffing off of what Rushabh said, right? We are an output-focused organization. So, I mean, as long as, you're meeting your goals, you're being true to the company, it's fine. I mean, even us, like sometimes we have 80-hour weeks, sometimes we have 40-hour weeks. But what remains consistent is doing your best to deliver on what you've promised or what you've, been assigned. And I frankly think different people have different working styles. For some 80-hour work weeks, week on week on week, it works perfectly well. It gives them energy. And for others, there's this one tennis player, Billie Jean, who said that life is not a marathon, it is a series of sprints. So I identify myself with that. So I have certain periods where I'm not putting in those many hours. I'm re-energizing, recharging through other things that I do, which is family, friends, other things. But it all comes back into work. I feel like it makes work also a lot more fun. So yeah, that's how I personally look at it, and most folks at Cityflo do.
Yeah, we don't measure hours. I don't understand the debate honestly, because I think as far as you get the work done, does it really matter how many hours you're working, and whatever works for different people works for them. Like I said, we're meritocratic. I think that's so. The thing you can measure is the output and the performance. And if I can do it in 1 hour, but it takes someone else 4 hours, doesn't mean I need to sit 4 hours in office. Yeah. So for us, it's like, and I think this is true for a lot of people. I think this is a lot of it is just hyped in the media. I don't think where our success is going to be determined or even related to how many hours our work weeks are.
I want to add one thing, right? I do believe that people do their best work when they're in a good mind space, when they're not stressed. So what we try to do is give people, freedom to fail. So, chalega. We give them flexibility as far as hours go, but hold them to the output. And what has ended up happening is that people then are not, like, the team is not burnt out. And there is a healthy camaraderie between, colleagues, between their managers. And we think that is what is sustainable. So for different people, it's that, that measure is wherever it is on the scale. But I think making sure that it's sustainable is super important. Like, we're fans of working with the same people for a long, long time. Most of our folks have been with Cityflo forever. So, yeah, that's worked for us.
Now that we have talked about work-life balance, I think let's move away from work and talk a little bit about life. Not much to do with Cityflo. So if I were to ask both of you very briefly, how would you define success for yourself and success for Cityflo? It could be one word, one phrase, whatever.
Success for myself, I think we've touched upon it through the conversation. I think it's impact creation. If I can add value. And there's different ways to measure value, and it's different for different people. But if I can add value, I think I've been successful. Success for Cityflo is, again, drawing similar lines, is we believe Cityflo is an ecosystem. Cityflo is basically its drivers, its customers, its employees, its founders, its investors, and the government. and if we can generate value for all of these stakeholders and do a net, so there's something in economics called a zero-sum game, right? Which is my win is your loss. And then there's something which is net gain or net benefit, which is like the closest example is if I have a candle and I light his candle, my candle's still lit and his candle's lit as well. So if we can generate net gain for all the stakeholders that are involved, I think then Cityflo has been successful.
That's wonderful. Rushabh, anything you would like to add?
No, I think value creation is at the core of it. And I think amazing things happen when you start creating value. I think, Rushabh spoke about business, but even, I've been thinking about this since I became a father recently. So there are few members in our family that put in a lot of effort to make sure the family comes together, and they try to add value in that manner. And I think that has been tremendous for the entire family. My teachers back in school, I went to Singhania right here. There are certain teachers who try to add value by spending that extra time with that person just to declutter a complicated concept and explain it. And that changed, that changed the trajectory of that student. And he's a very successful stand-up comedian now. So yeah, I think we try to do that in business in different ways. By having that work culture is one. I think on the driver front, we realize that unlocking, drivers are the face of the brand for all practical purposes. It's not Rushabh, not me, not Jaren, not Ankit. And what makes, a good driver from a, great driver is we realize not extra money. We realize that uska self-esteem agar better ho, to wo khushi se kaam kar lega. Because these drivers are, they belong to an industry where historically they haven't been respected by passengers or by, folks who employ them. Marpeet hoti hai. And when we realize that this is the thing to unlock, I think it did wonders, for us. So I think it goes back to, I completely agree with Rushabh. I think it's value creation across the board, and that's been one takeaway for myself also.
Great. So before we move on to the last segment, which is going to be a rapid round, and someone mentioned I'm a quiz master, so I love asking rapid questions. One question that I started with, we all knew that IITs create great engineers. But if I'm not mistaken, the last 10 years, besides creating great engineers, it's become a breeding ground for entrepreneurs. Yeah. So what are they doing differently now?
You want to take this?
So I think a couple of things, right? I think one is, I don't know if it's a recent phenomena because Nandan Nilekani started Infosys, like 40 years back. He's IIT Bombay graduate. Like we like to mention again and again. One of
those six, and I don't think anybody talks about Nandan having started Infosys.
Yeah, but I mean that culture was always there. I think it's the difference is it's become a lot more accessible. With the sort of network that there exists of like now Cityflo is a startup. So when we have juniors who know us, they see our journey, they get inspired. So that network is, I think, a big advantage. The other advantage, I would say, the access to capital that has happened, where venture capitalists and private equity firms are willing to fund, young entrepreneurs who can contribute to India's growth story. I think that's a big, sort of thing that exists now that didn't exist earlier. And I don't think it's just IITs. I think it trickles down to like the NITs and BITS and all of those sort of, marquee institutes that are there in the country. So I think it's just that this ecosystem brings, it gives young students and kids confidence that they can go ahead and try and do something without having to worry about failure, just like our journey was. And I think that's going to be critical for, the growth journey that we talk about that India wants to do over the next, decade. This is India's decade, right? We have the demographic dividend, we have the largest young population. And I think if we can empower and enable them to really make a difference, I think that's sort of a wonderful time to be in.
Yeah, just to add to that, maybe it was maybe the IITs were bleeding around at some point in time, but very, very quickly, I think because there's so much knowledge sharing that is happening, there is like access to capital, that like even shows like Shark Tank, right? It's democratized this quite a bit. It doesn't seem like, acha, ye मैं कैसे करूँ? Now I think I see a lot more people going like, हाँ हम भी करते हैं ना, कोई भी कर सकता है. And I think that has been really, really exciting and wonderful to
and
see.
as you said, some stage, fail हो गए तो क्या होगा? नौकरी तो मिल जाएगी.
Correct.
Fear is less.
Yeah.
That's great. So that has been wonderful talking to both of you, Rushabh and Sankalp. But I'm not going to let you go unless I have a few rapid fire questions, and I'm sure audience will have some questions for you. So here I need answers, one word or phrase. And both of you can take each question because they're going to be very, very short. So if I would ask you, who or what has been your biggest inspiration?
I think the people I work with.
Okay.
He stole my answer, but so I'm going to say my parents.
All right. So, when you talk about people, besides skills and experience that you would look for in an employee, is there one thing that would make you hire that person?
I think demonstrating ownership.
A drive to just get better.
Okay. Improve oneself.
Yeah.
Be a better you the next day.
Correct.
Absolutely. One value that you will never compromise with.
I think we spoke about customer experience.
Okay. Customer experience, I think.
This is another thing you both disagree, not disagree with. Okay. What is that one thing which you would normally not leave home without? And if you leave, you may go back and pick it up. That's in their mobile, unless they forget the mobile at home.
My phone.
I like to read. I have a Kindle.
Okay.
So I use that.
All right. Your mom is not here, right?
She is actually.
Ma'am, I'm going to ask him a question that's difficult.
Don't ask me to choose. Don't ask me who my favorite is.
No, I'll not do that. So what is that one cuss word that you use when you're very angry?
I'm not going to say that.
You want to
Arey Cityflo.
I can beep it.
It's going to sound like a beep only.
Rushabh?
No, I think we've been, so now Cityflo is bigger, right? So when we were a smaller organization, then we hired an HR. Then an HR, sorry, this is not a rapid fire answer, but a conversation with us saying that you cannot use the language you all use because now we are a large organization.
I need to meet this HR person because I deal with them every day.
So now, so it's been, so we were, I say shit like I did, and that slips out.
But that's very mild, yeah.
Yeah. We're mild people.
Right, and if time, money, and responsibility were to be kept aside, this is not the concern, what would you like to do?
I'd like to spend time with people I love, family, friends, just interesting people. And that's one thing that I thoroughly love about this journey of Cityflo.
I like to scuba dive, so if I could, I would do a lot of diving. But besides that, I think we don't have any of these constraints. I think we're building something that we closely believe in, and it doesn't again, we come from privilege and we recognize that, and we don't have constraints that. So I do think that we're living our best life.
Okay. This question is a little long, but the answer can be short. Businesses have always been there. Startup phenomena was called maybe 15 years, 18 years back. I don't even know what time. So what one difference that you see between the business person of the earlier times and startup founders today?
I mean,
access to capital.
I think fear of failure. Fear of failure.
So there's low fear of failure with today's entrepreneurs of startup founders.
Yeah.
Okay, great. What's your favorite mode of transport? Car or bus?
A bus. Did it sound rehearsed?
I thought of it when I was standing there. I said, I'm going to ask you guys this, but I don't know what the answer will be. And you have already told us train.
Train.
Okay?
Yeah. Mumbai local.
Mumbai local, Zindabad. So wonderful talking to you both, Sankalp and Rushabh. I was looking for something I thought I'd just read because it's all about journey. So I'll just take a couple of minutes. In life's journey, a path winds and bends, a story that twists, turns, and extends. Each step, a tale of dreams and fears, years of laughter, joy, and tears. We walk in the light and sometimes in the dark, marking our trail with an indelible mark. Life's road, with its highs and lows, shows us where the heart truly goes. Through forests of doubt and fields of hope, we cope, finding ways to adapt and cope. In every journey, a lesson learned, earned in the miles we have traversed and turned. Life, a journey of endless scope, in every step, a chance to grow, to cope, a path unique with stories untold, bold in its unfolding, a sight to behold. And I'm sure in an hour's conversation that we have had, when we asked this question to people, how many of you have traveled in Cityflo? I think 40 to 50% raised their hands. I'm sure maybe a year later when you're talking to a group like this, I'm definite that number is going to be much higher. Wish you all the best, and it was wonderful chatting up with both of you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rushabh.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sir.
Thank you, Shankar. Please, you have audience questions.
Oh.
Hello.
Sure,
wait,
sure.
Wait. Hello. I'll give you the mic. Wait.
I am a Cityflo brand ambassador. बहुत सारे customers आपको मेरी वजह से मिले हैं, but unfortunately मैं ज़्यादा Cityflo में travel नहीं कर पाती हूँ because my timings are the timings where Cityflo doesn't flow. So I had this conversation last month with Jaren when he was there at the BNI event. And why can't we have something which may not be a huge bus but a small tempo traveler to kind of work out the viability for the hours that people like us would want to use. The second was that when we went to Coldplay, used your services, thank you for that. We had an amazing time. My son, who stays in Bangalore, he was literally in tears saying that आपको पता नहीं आप जन्नत में रहते हो. You have Cityflo, so please Bangalore में कुछ करो. And third and most important is I have understood the way in which you operate. It is not senior citizen friendly yet because it's very difficult for them to locate the bus stop via the route and all of that, and because we don't have Cityflo boards, etc. So anything that we can do on those lines, because money is an important factor in their lives. So rather than taking an Uber, they would rather prefer taking an auto, which their kids would be really scared of. So it is a safer way to travel for them. So, bas, ho gaya. Thank you.
Okay.
The vehicle question.
Yeah, I'll take. So the first question, we've already started working on the new fleet that Cityflo is introducing this year. We're introducing 127-seater buses. These are our traditional buses are 35 and 40 seaters. Now we're introducing smaller ones. We've worked with Aisha to sort of customize the interiors of the bus to what we want for exactly this purpose, for the routes and the low demand times. We call them off-peak. So the off-peak hours where demand may not be as high as 35 and 40 seaters. So hopefully in a few months we'll have resolved that concern. The second question, I think we will start in Bangalore soon, hopefully. So for us, the metros are an obvious market. Delhi we're starting. Next is Calcutta, then is Bangalore. So we will be hopefully going there soon. And to the third question is, we're actually trying to work with the government. So TMC in Thane as well as BMC, MMRDA actually in Bombay, to get physical Cityflo markers, if we can put, so that it becomes easier for people to recognize. So hopefully that also we'll try and solve soon.
One thing to add, we're also working on piloting a buddy program of sorts where if folks are facing an issue, finding the stop, or are wondering whether to, stand on the opposite side, this side, kis bus late hui to kya hoga, stuff like that. Just a helpline for them to, like a single button helpline, so they can speak with the customer support right away.
Hello. Hey Rushabh, hi Sankalp. My name is Amey Pradhan. First and foremost, guys, congratulations for building a community of bus goers. That's unheard of in India. So that's a very well done. Quick question about 2035. Let's look forward 10 years. Where do you see Cityflo? Is it still hustling to get more footprint across India, or a full-fledged enterprise? Where do you see yourselves?
I'll take this. I think the hustle doesn't die, and I hope it doesn't die. I think it's been, sometimes you wonder how long it's been, when we like, yaar, 2015 mein start kiya, 10 saal ho gaye. But it doesn't feel like there's no exhaustion, there is no tiredness. I think the spark is still there in everyone's eyes. So I would hope that doesn't change. 2035, our vision is to, upgrade public transport in India. So, be it working with government entities to, run the way they operate today, introducing private services like we do today, introducing, being one of the premier, one of the first folks to sort of have an all EV fleet. So these are some of the markers and goals that we've set for ourselves, for the next 5 years for sure. 2035 ka pata nahi. But yeah, if I were to just sum it up, it's to upgrade our public transport. And there's this one quote that I recall, like this has been, it's from the mayor of Bogota. He said that a developed country is not where,
poor have cars.
Poor have cars. It's where the rich use public transportation.
I'll add, so we did, interestingly, this is Cityflo's 10th year, we did an activity with our entire team about vision, where do you see Cityflo 10 years from now? My favorite one was one that a driver wrote, which was that I want Cityflo to be famous across the world like Shah Rukh Khan.
It's more of a coincidence in the 10th year, you are at 10 today.
Yes, good evening. So before I get to my question, I think on behalf of the entire audience here, I would like to say that as Thaneites, I think we have this sense of collective association towards a Cityflo, and probably, of course, you're growing within India, and we would love to also see you grow internationally. And that is when we'll say, ye hamara company hai, and we will do whatever it takes to support you to go global. And bless you for doing this wonderful job.
Thank you.
Coming to the question, you earlier mentioned that you've started to take up, let's say, corporate clients where, employee facilitation and those aspects would be handled. We are also a very young startup. We are 4 years old, and we've grown from a team size of 5 to now 65 odd and growing. Me and my partner, we were sort of evaluating how to resolve the issue of, our colleagues traveling from different locations. And especially when, we support European time zone and US time zones where, as per, let's say, internal policies or compliances, we would like to have, let's say, an escort accompanying our women colleagues if they are, sort of traveling after hours and so on. And the one part that, has always been a constraint in us implementing such mobilization facilities from the organization was the legality part. Any sort of service provider that we spoke to was not willing to sort of take that accountability. From policy perspective, we need to give a declaration to our colleagues that, okay, we'll ensure your safe return to your house or safe coming to the office, and we take the accountability. But the service provider which we are engaging with also needs to, let's say, abide by the same level of commitment. So how do you intend on, or whether you already have a similar sort of a policy in place where you can share that accountability with your corporate clients?
So just to check if I've gotten your question right, is there a world where a transport vendor can take complete accountability for safety? Is that what you're trying to? Correct.
We can talk about the safety feature. Safety feature.
Compliant processes in place.
Right.
Like you mentioned, there were two options. One is the dedicated fleet,
Right.
but for a young company, we can't afford to probably have a dedicated fleet. So rather, we would go for sittings.
Yeah.
But then, can
So,
we have some
yeah,
sort
I'll
of a
talk about
contract?
that. So we work with a lot of large corporate clients, and they have similar questions. So there's two aspects to it. One is, using technology, how can we improve the safety? So we have cameras in all our buses, which footage can be, accessed if requested by you as well. Your employees can log their attendance on the bus, saying I've boarded this bus, and we can send notifications to, an emergency contact or some friend or family. There is an SOS button in the app as well as on the buses. So if there's any issue, there's a separate SOS helpline that we have that is always manned while the buses are running. So if there's any issue on the you can hit that SOS and you can make a call. So there's that one aspect of technology. Then there is what do you do for unforeseen events? What if the bus gets into an accident? In that case, obviously the bus has an insurance. If the company wants to go over and above that, we also have, it's called personal accident insurance, which you can choose and opt for your employees to have that as well, which Cityflo will provide, where we tie up with an insurance company which says that if anything happens, on the bus while this person is traveling from or to work, there's this much coverage that is associated with that. So those are the sort of two aspects that we look at it. One is what can we do to make it safer? So, all buses are tracked, all buses have cameras, customer has the app, they can share their tracking location. We also have like a safe drop feature, which is specially for female employees in call centers, which is that you will get a call from Cityflo once you've reached near your home, once you've gotten off the bus in a certain time, that have you reached your home safely? You press, it's an automated call, you press 1, yes, I've reached safely. If we don't get that response, then again, we alert you and we alert our response team to see if there's any issue around that.
There's one aspect around prevention of such instances that we also do, which is there's a driver monitoring system that is in place as well as part of the safety cameras, which throws alerts to the driver as well as the control tower team, as we call it, if the driver is not wearing a seat belt, if there's any
drowsy driving,
drowsiness, if he's on his mobile phone, if there's harsh braking, acceleration, those sorts of things. So we're trying
and this is also automated. So the camera is AI powered, it senses, it has certain senses, and it triggers those alerts.
So great services which you're giving, and lovely conversation. See, one question I have, Sunday morning when you come, see in Thane we are very proud of those broad roads. And on Sunday morning when you come through Pokhran Road 2, you'll see a series of Cityflo buses standing, right? So possibly you have got the permission from the respective authorities. But what is your parking policy? Like, because it's also seen as a public space, right?
Yes.
And then, you have a public parking space, then you have the walking lanes, and you have the gardens.
Right.
So that's how so how do you see this?
No, you're right. And it is a public space and that needs to be respected.
This very important question. I hope, honestly, the real question that needs to be answered by is the municipal corporation, that what is the parking infrastructure that Thane is going to have going forward. Cityflo has 3 depots in Thane. We actually rent out 4 acres of land in Thane which is obviously very expensive, which at the end of the day is borne by our customers, where the buses are parked. However, for certain routes, like we run Vasant Vihar, we run Majivada, we run Kolshed, we don't have access to parking around that. And we've been trying to work with the government saying that, can you help us with parking infrastructure? Can you give dedicated plots where we can park the buses? Because this is the biggest challenge for us to scale the business going forward. We do work with the authorities. So we try and park in areas where there should not be any traffic obstruction or there should not be any safety constraint. Most of the parking that you see that where Cityflo is parking has been signed off more often than not by the traffic police authority saying this is okay. But honestly, it's, we have no choice. If I don't park on Pokhran Road, where am I going to go? So if there is something available, we're more than happy to do it. And this, unfortunately, as a startup, this is beyond entirely our control. And we are trying to work with the government through, sort of do that.
Hi, this is Allad Oak from Vines Illegal. 3 small questions. First is about artificial intelligence. You mentioned about AI. How is that impacting you? Secondly, you are essentially a mobile application also. And then how's the risk of cyber attacks? Because yesterday I attended one forum where the top of the risk was mentioned about cyber attack. And third is about the contributions that you are making to the society. How do we quantify that? And last one sub question about DPDP Act, the Digital Personal Data Protection. How do you get that into your business?
Sure. There's a lot of questions. I'll try and remember all of them. First one about AI, we've started integrating it. We spoke about, so our cameras are AI enabled, automated alerts. Our customer service is, a lot of companies have automated customer service now. We haven't done that because we still think the human is important, but we do AI assisted customer service. So for example, if you raise a ticket on Cityflo saying, I have this issue, the system will help the customer support agent with the relevant information and context that he needs from your data to be able to respond appropriately. And also we use it for data, like I lead the data analytics team. A lot of our sort of data analytics now is AI and ML enabled where we get business performance metrics are automatically highlighted where our attention needs to go. So that's some of the implementation that we've done. Your second question was risk of cyber attacks, right? So we work with a lot of corporates. As part of that, they need their data and employee data to be protected. There are certifications that you can get where you can show that your systems are sort of cyber attack proof. We're in the process of getting one of those certifications. That sort of ensures, and there's basic hygiene practices that we've been following for 10 years, which is, for example, passwords are not stored naked. You store them as a hash. You encrypt the password and store it, and there's a decryption key that decrypts that password, which is very hard to break. So all all Cityflo passwords, for example, are stored that way.
Yeah, like different access levels for different information.
Yeah,
I think it's part of ISO 27001, if I'm not mistaken, and that is fairly comprehensive. Yeah. So, I mean, that's something that we're in the process of doing.
Your third question was on data privacy or the new data laws that come in. We adhere to them. All data is stored in servers in India. If you choose to delete your account, we delete everything relevant to that account. Customer private information is masked, not accessible to us as individuals or employees. Whatever other policies, we try and adhere to them. We've been doing it for a while. It's something that we believe is part of best practices.
Last 2 questions we are taking with the gentleman.
Social, yeah. How do we measure the social impact? We send out a year-end report to all our customers about the 1/3 of Bombay that I spoke about. We actually send it to every individual. What was your impact? It can be measured as half a basketball court, 1 kabaddi field, half a football field. That's how we try and measure it. But Sankalp can talk about, we measure CO2 emissions, what is the saving in the CO2 emissions?
So roughly, if you move from a private car to a Cityflo bus with about an average of 70% occupancy, which it typically is, the emissions that you emit, they reduce by about 86%. So that's one data point. The other is, Cityflo as a community, I think, has had like a massive impact in every year. And in 2024, I know you said 1/3 of Mumbai, but just to throw some numbers at it, it's about 5,000 to 6,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions were reduced. That's roughly like 2.5 lakh trees being planted. So if there's a number, that would be it.
We also recently we won an award with one of the corporates where they participated in an environment impact sort of award, where their case study was how much they saved after they moved their customers from cabs to Cityflo's network.
Paucity of time, we are taking last 2 questions for the day. I'm sure our speakers are available for networking purposes thereafter. 1 question from Mahendra, 1 question from Mahesh. Remaining questions, please, after the networking session.
So I'll keep it very short. My question is, typically how many unique inquiries you need to start a particular route? So that we can work on it.
So
I think a lot of people.
So I'm going to give you a number, but please don't be alarmed. Okay, I know a bus needs 35 people, but to start a route, we need about 500 people interested. And the reason why that is the case is because in our experience, running just one bus on a route doesn't work, because most people prefer some sort of flexibility. So as a rule, we start with at least 4 buses. And in this time and age, not everyone goes into work every single day. So just doing some back of the envelope, 500 is it.
There's also a funnel, right? Not all 500 use it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. So my question is, I'm from stock market, so my question is, when are you going to list your shares?
Soon.
Inshallah soon.
But there is, realistically speaking, there is a path, and we think in the next 3 to 4 years, we see that we should be able to take Cityflo public. Also, over the last year, you've seen a lot of IPOs, a lot of startup IPOs, so that has now become a real option for startups to sort of go.
What kind of a valuation you're looking?
We'll have to see then.
I think it depends then.
One last question for the day.
Thank you so much. It was a brilliant, brilliant experience just sitting here and listening to your journey. I am not very unfamiliar with the startup ecosystem. I'm mother to a founder of a startup myself. But there's one thing that always intrigues me. At what stage will you stop calling yourself a startup?
That's all.
Because I've seen companies which are 20 years old, well established, still being called a startup.
Yeah.
So is that a tag you're proud of, or
I
it's something that you can't let go at all?
I'm going to borrow a quote and twist it a little. I think startup is not about age, it's about mindset.
Yeah.
Spending 3 hours on a Friday evening, it means a lot. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was a very nice, we got a lot of insight. And as they say that usually 3 A's are most important, like it's not important that what aptitude you are from, basically it is the attitude which takes you to the altitude. And you guys are really down to earth, and we really can relate to all the problems that you have had, and it seems that ordinary people do extraordinary things. So a very big, I hope you have a great success in whatever you do, and 2,000 buses is not far, just like TMC says. So with that, I will like to, now we would like to have, we are pleased to share that our platinum sponsor and gold sponsors, we would like to ask you your journey, how you have reached where you are today. So Mr. Mahesh, please let us know. Okay.
Thank you to the platform. Congratulations, Rushabh and Sankalp. I think you guys have done a wonderful job with a simple gap, the painful commute issue. At times, simple things, if given a thought and worked the way you guys have, can do wonders and can, make you proud and us proud that you've done really, really well. Likewise, at Price Bridge, yeah. So likewise at Price Bridge, we see a lot of gaps in financial services. Small gaps like, would you like a distributor to manage your mutual funds, or would you want a qualified fund manager to manage it? Second, we saw an opportunity in where the world is investing. The whole of world is heading towards index investing or passive investing as they call. And not many intermediaries speak openly about it in India, or reasons better known, not spoken. So we have an urge to take it to people, to take it to masses. And third, is your fund manager or are your fund managers putting in an ample effort to work on your money? Identifying a stock, Mahesh rightly asked, at what valuation? Identifying a stock or a story and then sitting on it is a research analyst's job. A fund manager's job is supposed to be different. Risk keeps moving, so one has to be adaptable. So that's our third attempt. So we are trying to bridge these very gaps with Price Bridge. We are proud to be Thanekars. We are proud to be Thane's only and first PMS. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Prakash.
Good evening, friends. Thank you, Rushabh and Sankalp, for sharing wonderful insights. Yeah. Hello.
Take it closer.
Hello. Yeah. So I've been a part of 10 communities since last 1 year. It has been a great journey. So my name is Rushabh. I'm a chartered accountant from UK and also a chartered wealth manager from UK. My company name is Paceco Solutions Private Limited. It's a compliance firm. So we basically take care of all accounting and taxation solutions. We have, it is a 6-year-old company. We have more than around 1,300 plus clients in India as well as internationally. We also provide offshore business compliance services. So right from company incorporation, accounting, annual compliance management services. If anyone wants to incorporate their company in UK, Europe, Dubai, US, Australia, Singapore, they can definitely reach out to us. So like if someone wants to go from local routes to global, we can help you. And thank you for TEN for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And we have a small goodie bag for all of you. So do take it before you leave. Thank you.
Rushabh has not only been our gold sponsor, but he has also been the person to invite the maximum visitors to our forum today. Once again, a big round of applause for him.
I think the guest speakers can take their seat. To share that our 10 member, Mr. Bala Iyer, the founder of Classical Yoga Niti, also our sponsor, has recently launched his book, the Yoga Teacher's Handbook. We request Mr. Bala Iyer to please tell us about the book and his journey in writing it.
It's been a pleasure to be associated with 10, and I always supported knowledge sharing and been part of the 10 network for a fairly long period of time. The yoga community or the fitness community in particular today lacks something called as the finishing school. We are taught scriptures, we are taught many nuances in terms of how the asanas need to be completed. But there's one area which it lacks is to actually take you to the external world. And that's what my book aims to do. And it gives me great pleasure to launch this book here. And the proceeds of this book and the royalties which are collected goes to Bal Snehalaya, which I am associated with. It's a remand school and a remand home close by. Every Sunday I go and conduct yoga classes for the boys there. So in all probability, if you can actually come closer and have a look at the book, it's a subsidized rate and for a noble cause. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Your support not only makes our event a runaway success, but also empowers and inspires us to truly do better each year. Without your support, we would be a bus without wheels. Bebus. As a token of our appreciation and gratitude, I now request our chairman, Mr. Rahul Amrute, to please present a plant to our platinum sponsor, Price Bridge, Mr. Mahesh Kovande. I request our co-founder, Mr. Deepak, to please give a token of appreciation to our gold sponsor, Mr. Rushabh Vora from Pesico Solutions. I request Mr. Mangesh and Mr. Rajiv to give plants to our silver sponsors, Leeds BPO, Mr. Shailendra. To Mr. Bala Iyer from Classical Yoga Niti. I request our 10 member, Mrs. Arzu, to please give a plant to our event partners, Site to Host Digital, Mr. Ram Kumar. खुद प्लांट लेके आ रहे, प्रिया को बुला दो. Is anybody here from Thane Vaibhav? Yeah. We would like to thank our partners and sponsors, Mr. Nikhil Ballal, Atul Pansare, and Kapish from Thane Vaibhav, Thane Live, and Inspiring News. I would like to thank Mr. Kapish from Inspiring News. I request our 10 member, Nilesh Dikshit, to please give a plant as a mark of appreciation to Mr. Lakshmikant Bundada and to Mr. Vedant, to Mr. Mangesh from Vedant QA. No, he doesn't want. I request our chairman, Mr. Rahul, to please give a token of appreciation and love to our speakers for today. Mr. Rushabh. We would like to thank Mrs. Vidya, Mrs. Alpa, and Mrs. Arzu for the beautiful Rangoli. And I would like Deepak, our co-founder, to please give them a token of love. I would like Deepak to please give a token of love to Sunil for conducting the sessions so efficiently. A big round of applause for the quiz master. I now request Mr. Shailendra to please give the formal vote of thanks.
And I'm the only one, right? Yeah, you there? Okay. So thank you. I think a round of applause to Rushabh and Sankalp. Thank you so much. On behalf of 10 family and everybody here, we want to wish you that you become a Shah Rukh Khan all over the world and you're present globally. Terrific. I think this is a great journey. We all enjoyed. And what we could feel among the crowd and all those people who have been listening to you for the last an hour or so, right? They will all engage with their love. We are all grateful to Cityflo for making this so convenient for us to go to Bombay and different parts of Bombay and making it very, very convenient. I stay in the state and the stop is just right next to us, and I see people happily parking their cars and then getting into the bus. Yeah, so I'm waiting for something to get started in Navi Mumbai, and you have told the route now. So thank you so much. I think they've been a great, leader for us. And somebody asked this question that, how far is the startup should be called a startup? And I think it's a wonderful answer that it's about the mindset. So thank you so much, right? Thank you, everybody. Thank you to, Sunil, thank you so much. You've been a great moderator, right? And all our sponsors here and the pillars behind in 10. So thank you, everybody. Over to Rahul.
Yes.
So after such an inspiring story, the closing remarks remains just a formality, but as a chairman, I have to do it, so I am here. Cityflo is a story of resilience, faith, innovation, and above all, insane confidence in your dreams. As Rushabh and Sankalp rightly said, that they had no commitments when they began this journey, but what fascinates me is that they were able to solve a terrible nightmare of city travelers. One very interesting aspect I would like to say, when we visited their office to meet Rushabh, so I got to know from him that the developers and real estate owners have started calling them and asking them to plan their route according to their projects. A lot of clients are going back on the booking amount just because there is no route of Cityflo on that path. So that's a fact. So that is a very good testimony for you that you are now a part of our everyday life. Also on a lighter note, I would like to request Sankalp to give me the contact details of the traffic personnel who are patiently listening to you and ready to assist you. So it was something out of Mars, I feel, I was listening to. But anyway, congrats on that. On behalf of 10 and all the visitors present here, I extend my sincere gratitude to all of you and wish Cityflo a fantastic future ahead. May God bless you with unparalleled success and well-being. So thank you all. I would kindly, and a token of appreciation for Sonali, please. Mangesh, who's there? Yeah, Pinku. Yeah. So I call it the concluding of this today's date, and I would request you to proceed for dinner, for sumptuous dinner there, and request all the tenants to come here for a group photograph. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
So let me just share a quick story why I'm here and why he is here. So Arzu, thank you for that, for the flyer that you shared on one of the common group. So he is winner of the international inter-school quiz competition held at Nehru Science Center. So fellow Silonia. Okay, so he and his quiz partner went to principal ma'am of Srimati Sulochana Devi Singhania School, Revati Srinivasan ma'am. So when he entered in the principal ma'am's cabin, the first thing principal ma'am said is, "You look like Sankalp." Okay, so he is the one. And the entire thing photograph और trophy वगैरह मैम को दिया और trophy मैम के cabin में है और बाद में he reached home and the first thing he shared with me is, do I look like Sankalp? And he started reading about you. He read everything about you. He started searching you on Google and everything. And then the same day I got a message from Arzu that this thing is happening. There is some supreme power which is helping us and giving, or what you are seeking is seeking us. और जो law of attraction बोलते हैं, I immediately called Arzu, can I come? Can he come? He is not even a teenager, he is soon to be teenager. Can he come? So she inquired to organizers and yes, you can. And that's how we are. So thank you so much for inspiring not just the, us for our generation, but and the placing thing you said, I completely resonate with the thing that when I was pregnant, when he was inside my womb, the bus was a blessing for me. And thank you so much for that. And I wish you a grand success and a wonderful evening. Thanks.